From the sewers of Manhattan to the plaza to upstate New York, today's artist has taken us all over New York and beyond. We are in season 3 of Oscar Rewind, and today I am looking at Miramax's Mimic. Co-written by Matthew Robbins and the film's director Guillermo del Toro, and based on the short story by Donald A. Wollheim, this film released in the summer of 1997. What's up, everybody? Cinephile Mike here, and it is a new episode of Oscar Rewind, where I am looking back at the films of this past year's Oscar nominees and winners. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of these throwbacks. Today we begin a new chapter, Chapter 4, designed for the big screen. This chapter focuses on production design, costume design, makeup, and hair styling nominees who helped bring this year's Oscar films to life. And since it was Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein that took those 3 Oscars, we're going to kickstart this chapter with a trio of his films where he worked previously with all of these winners. And we're going to start with production design winner Tamara Deverell, who served as the art director on today's film. Now, if you've never seen Mimic, here's your quick spoiler-free setup. In New York City, cockroaches are spreading a deadly disease that is killing children. With no cure in sight, Dr. Peter Mann, played by Jeremy Northam, the head of the CDC, recruits Dr. Susan Tyler, played by Mira Sorvino, an entomologist who uses genetic engineering to create the Judas breed, a crossbreed of mantis and termite that secretes an enzyme that will kill the cockroaches, thus saving the children. Also, within the genetics, the Judas was designed to die out so that it would prevent any other issues. Simple, right? We've all seen Jurassic Park. The dinosaurs found a way to thrive and grow, and so does the Judas. 3 years after the extermination of the cockroaches, a human-like figure appears in the shadows, unable to communicate except through sounds, which attracts the attention of Chewie, played by Alexander Goodwin, a young boy who plays the spoons. The sounds he makes prevent said individual from harming him, but is not so the case with others who come up against this new individual. When Susan discovers what appears to be a Judas egg, she realizes their experiment may not have died out after all. And alongside Peter, now her husband, they set out to uncover what they've created before it spreads throughout New York. And as they say, sometimes an insect will evolve to mimic its predator. A fly can look like a spider. A caterpillar can look like a snake. The Judas evolved to mimic its predator, us. This is a fascinating film, and while we are not specifically here to talk about Del Toro, it is worth noting that this was only his second film, and when you look at everything else that has come in the last almost 30 years, you can see the influence of sci-fi and horror that has now become his staple. Now, early he was strapped by studio restrictions, which is what led to some mixed reception of this film originally, but I kind of remember being a little obsessed with it when I was younger. It was riding the high of horror films by Miramax and the other studios at the time. Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer, Phantoms. The late 90s saw horror and sci-fi enjoy a real resurgence, and Del Toro was right there helping to define it. In Mimic, he had a stellar cast, including Sorvino and Northam, and I didn't even reference in my synopsis appearances by Giancarlo Giannini's Manny, the shoe-shining dad of Chewie, Charles S. Dutton's Leonard, a subway guard who gets brought into the mix, and Josh Brolin's Josh, a colleague of Susan and Peter's, and F. Murray Abraham's Dr. Gates, Susan's former teacher and naysayer, against this experiment from the start. The cast works well together and navigates the story with the right amount of shock and over-the-top and realism to keep it grounded without entirely falling into the parody that it could have. And visually, it's stunning. This is where Deverell's work comes in so beautiful under the production design of Carol Spear. As we journey from the dank New York streets into the sewers and the subway tunnels, a majority of the second and third act of the film take place in a decrepit but fascinating abandoned subway station that looks like an old European subway station with stained glass and old town cars, and it puts a fresher spin on some of the said tropes of the films like these. And those labyrinthine tunnels and paths that the cast has to go through is shot with wonderful cinematography by Dan Louston, and it really helps you feel the claustrophobia and the film's jump scares, all on point thanks to the incredible sharp work by Patrick Lussier, an expert in this between, Mimic, the original Scream trilogy, Halloween H2O, and various other horror properties alongside Peter Devanney Flanagan. They know what they're doing. And also Marco Beltrami, whose nerve-shuddering score has punctuated all of those aforementioned movies and so many more. The editing and music is what make this film really stand out and be memorable. Now, let's talk about the box office and the awards. After the film's run, it made $25,480,490 domestically, and then there was a small New Zealand re-release in 2020 giving it an additional $313, so its worldwide take is $25,480,803. Critically, the film is split. It has a fresh 68% on the tomato meter from 53 reviews and a 37% popcorn meter from over 25,000 audience reviews. Much lower. Award season-wise, the film had 11 nominations and wins in total, with a couple of highlights being a Best Score nomination at the Fangoria Chainsaw Awards and a win for Best Makeup by the Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror Films, which also nominated it for Best Horror Film, Best Writer, Best Actress for Sorvino, Best Performance by a Young Actor or Actress for Goodwin in 2012, and also, in 2012, sorry for my break in tone there, it was nominated for Best DVD Blu-ray Special Edition Release, and I'm going to bring that one up for a reason. It's worth noting with this film that Del Toro was not entirely happy with the theatrical cut. Not shocking that certain creatives of Miramax at the time, if you know, you know, a certain pair of brothers that I won't reference, held a lot of control. And Del Toro wasn't quite who he is now, but thanks to some influential support behind the scenes, he was able to release a director's cut of this film in 2012 with an additional 6 minutes, which is even a more solid film and what he wanted. So I wanted to make sure I referenced that 2012 nod. Look, it's a strong horror film. It's a strong way to kick off Chapter 4. Check it out. Mimic is available for rental or purchase on all digital platforms, but a word to the wise, get the director's cut. And that's where I'm going to leave it for episode 28 of season 3 of Oscar Rewind and the start of Chapter 4. If you enjoyed this episode and want to make sure you don't miss any others, you know what you got to do. Click the subscribe button and let me know in the comments, what movie about bugs creeps you out? This one did it for me. Please follow me on all social media platforms and on Letterboxd, and check out my website, cinephilemike.com, for more exclusive cinematic content. I will see you all for the next rewind, but until then, this is Cinephile Mike reminding you to take a break and watch something new.